What is up, Evil Dead fans? I'm gonna go over the details of my final Ash vs. Evil Dead chainsaw that I'm gonna be selling at Chicago Flashback Weekend this end of July through the beginning of August. And if you're wondering about the dates, just check them out online. Flashback Weekend on Facebook and flashbackweekend.com on the internet. Let's go over the details here. Now this one is very much, especially as season 1, but also season 2, season 3. This is basically based after what I call the nub chainsaw. The nub chainsaw was the one that was sold from the prop store and overseas in Europe or wherever the hell it was at. And I really like that one. It was basically based off of that and other small details from the first chainsaws as well. So let's go over some of the details. The first thing, I'm going to talk about the grill. I'm going to talk about the pieces right here, the caps. Now those are from Rob from Evil Dead Chainsaws. Those ones are actually from the mold from the ones he sent out for Ash vs. Evil Dead. And the way you can tell with the caps is the way that symbol is turned. That's how you know. And the same way with that symbol. So these ones are, they don't screw off. These ones are actually from him. Same with the grill here. You notice the silver on the front, very much that same similar chainsaw. And also a couple of the chainsaw had this 4mm bolt. It was a hex head bolt that went through the handle here. They did use like the stock like Phillips head look in some of the, or actually a lot of the chainsaws for Ash vs. Evil Dead if you look at the auction photos. But I really wanted this look because it's very kind of hardly ever seen. The side handle here is an original Homelight side handle that I modified to make into an Ash vs. Evil Dead. You will see the grit in here. And I got to see one of the first ones that was ever on Ash vs. Evil Dead in person, so I know how far they went with the grit with a lot of them. Side handle, this one is a 1-inch and modeled after the originals that Rob sent out to Ash vs. Evil Dead. Same with the way the hole's bigger here and the knot sits in there. Now you don't have to go with 1-inch, you can do 7/8. I did 7/8 on 1 or 2 of them. So you can do either one for Ash vs. Evil Dead. Now when it comes to the grit, right here, you'll see on the wrist clamp. Now I did a video, my last video shows this technique on how to do that. So if you want to know how to do that, check that video out. You'll notice this bolt here, different from body bolts, because not all of them had a body bolt here. A lot of them had this same bolt that you will see here, here, and here. And so I did that. I've done it on a few of them. Did them on Gothman's chainsaw, Doug's, and I think this one, maybe 1 or 2 other. But a lot of times you will find a bolt that's very similar to this one up here instead of this one. Sometimes you actually find this one backwards, at least on one of them. Let's go to the wrist clamp here. Now, one guy, I've said this before, he talked about inserting it, and he's like, they didn't insert. I'm like, on some of them they didn't, some of them they did. And I like the inserted look. I really love it. I mean, close in the gaps kind of thing. But on the bottom, the actual clamp right here is not inserted. On the sides, it is. And let's talk about the top real fast. We'll get back to more of the top later. You can see the design here. It is modeled after the one Rob did for Ash vs. Evil Dead. Now let's see how closely this fits on size. Line that up. There you go. So yeah, I did model it after Rob's, and I told him that I was going to use it as a stencil for different ones because I actually made this top. Same way with Al's. And one thing that you'll notice that why it's different is on Rob's here, this part, this right side sits on the top, and you'll see this one does not. It actually inserts like they did on Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. Now let's talk a little bit about the clamp here. Now this is the same clamp style, the exact same that Rob sent out to the guys for Ash vs. Evil Dead. And in Ash vs. Evil Dead, they actually switched out the different clamps for different chainsaws just to make things work. And if you're looking to buy one of these in the US, this exact one, you can't find it. You have to actually order it from overseas. This is one of these clamps. And if you look at the bolt here, it's one of these stock bolts that come on the clamp. Look at my fingernail. That's what happens when you build these chainsaws for years. You fuck up your fingernails. And at some point they did trade it out for one like this on different ones. But what Rob did on the earlier models that they used, and you can see it through season 1 through season 3, is he took this and he cut it down. And production, of course, painted it up, but that's the same style. I've got the muffler here, and this is one of the mufflers that I do. Got the motor piece here. Now that's a 2-part motor piece like I do for hand room. You can see right inside all the hand room, the paint. If you look right here at this motor piece, now this is from a mold I did of the original motor piece that I usually put on all my chainsaws. I have various different ones. This one's actually one from an Evil Dead 2 body, one of the bandits. And I wanted to use that because I didn't want to use one of Rob's. I felt like it wasn't right to use one of Rob's. He sent me a lot of stuff, a lot of parts, and you know, this is kind of my watermark kind of thing to do that, to put one of these in, but it is definitely gridded up a lot, and I really, really like it. So it's kind of a throwback to Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 2, so I really dig that. You can see the paint, you can see the top, definitely one of these, you know, recreation of Rob's tops right here. And I didn't recast. If somebody's like, you recast it. No, I made it from scratch with my bare hands. I don't recast shit. I will make something to look original like the way it needed to be. It was on Ash vs. Evil Dead, so that's what I did. Remade it. And this is a metal top, supported by 2-part epoxy and all kinds of stuff. It is pretty well bulletproof. Let's talk about the front bolts here. Now this is a 5mm bolt. Now they have used 6s on the front, but I really wanted to try the 5 out for this one. And you can really see the 6mm bolt when it comes down to the promo for Ash vs. Evil Dead for the Funny or Die promo, where he's talking about, this is my sipping hand. If you really look at that chainsaw, you will see the bigger bolts right here. And that chainsaw was done by the guy who was in charge of the chainsaws for Ash vs. Evil Dead. Same with that silver top one on the Conan O'Brien skit that Bruce Campbell was on. These are metric as well. I really like the paint. I really like how that came out. Let's talk about the top handle. Let's see if we can focus in on some of the grit. Now when it comes to a top handle, it's got to be right around 6 3/4 inches long. And when it comes to the carriage bolts, these are actually metric carriage bolts to match. The American style ones, the only problem is you have the small American style, which is about 1/16 of an inch smaller round than this one. And then you have the bigger style of the American style, the standard, which is a 1/16 of an inch bigger than this. So you have to find the metric ones, and these ones are metric to fit Ash vs. Evil Dead. Another question a lot of people always ask me is about these bolts here. Now, this one is primarily 5mm bolts instead of 6. There's really, on this one, only 1 6. And that's this one. This is 6mm. These are all 5. Now, can you find those exact bolts in 5mm in the US? The answer is no. I've looked. You cannot. Can you find them online on eBay? No, you cannot. I've looked. But is there a bolt that same exact size head that you can buy in standard size and make it work with a 5mm nut? The answer is yes, there is, and it's very common to find. But I'm not going to tell you where to find those because you got to keep a little bit of a secret. Let's talk about the bottom. I'm sorry if I'm sure somebody's out there going, "You son of a bitch." That's all right. Of course, you don't see the bolts down here or the nuts or anything like that. This is the original Homelight marking right here. These are actually holes that Rob did on his original molds for Ash vs. Evil Dead on the bodies. You can really see that in season 1, episode 2, where it's stuck in the wall. You can see those holes. And the one I did for Al, his hole was like right here. And that's where the toggle switch was for Evil Dead 2, and the holes there for Army of Darkness. I think Rob was going for the same thing. And I got to give a lot of credit to Rob because he was using VHS tapes to do his work. That's super impressive. A lot of weathering when it comes to the different pieces down here, the different attachments. And it's just turned out so well. Really quick about the toggle switch here. This is a 3-point toggle switch. You can go with the 2-point if you really want to. Just gotta make sure it's the right size. Do not use the normal home light toggle switch. Throw that sucker in the trash. Even in Evil Dead 2, they didn't use it. Throw it in the trash. One thing you'll notice if you're doing an Ash vs. Evil Dead chainsaw, if you see one of these like this where it has just a couple threads showing, that is because it has an original rod top connected to it. If you see a bunch of them where they have a lot of threads, it's a production top. It's usually the cut back look where it's cut back and closed in. Now, it's usually cut back about 1/4 inch, about right here, right in the center of that clamp, and it's filled in the back. That's when you see that look. Now, some of them have a bolt up here. Some of them have a cut line along here. Really just depends on the one you've seen. This pull string, of course, does not work, you know, because the look that the guy who was doing them for the show, not Rob, but like the guy in charge of doing the chainsaws, knew it was supposed to be hanging. Some of them, they don't. Some of them are pretty damn tight, but the original look that they went for was hanging. Just a hanging pull string because of Army of Darkness and some of the scenes from Evil Dead 2. Let's look at the bottom one more time, see if I missed anything. Trying to see if I did. Trying to tell you guys something. The reason why it's super gridded up, especially inside of here, is the first ones that were done are super gridded up. The inside motor piece has changed from chainsaw to chainsaw for the function that they needed to make happen. Some are actually red on the inside, especially the working ones. I don't know why. It's just one of those things. Some were airbrushed, some were not. A lot of them were hand painted. One thing I didn't do on this one is put silver along here. It's because I didn't want to. To be honest with you, I just didn't want to. I really like the look without the silver. I know a lot of them had the silver, some did not have the silver. And you never know, before I send it off to Chicago, Flashback Weekend, I may add silver. But if you're at Flashback Weekend in Chicago at the end of July, there will be a table. It's called the KOS table, the Knights of Samaria table, / Ghost Beaters table. You will find this chainsaw there. You will find Chris Pollock's Evil Dead 2 chainsaws, his flat tops and his race tops for sale. And Power Glove parts, chainsaw parts, you name it. It's all going to be there. If you're an Evil Dead fan, that's where to get your parts. And also, I did the split tape here. And when I do the tape, I actually glue it on there so it does not come off. Because I had one guy, he's like, "What? The tape's coming off, what do I do?" And I'm like, "Just retape it." But since that comment I had, I think about 2.5 years ago, I was like, yeah, just retape it. I was just like, after that, I was like, you know what, I'm going to glue that on there so it never comes off. But I really like the look of this. Like I said, if you're at Flashback Weekend in Chicago or can make it, you will see this one there. And if you want to buy it, it'll be there. This is my last Ash vs. Evil Dead. When it comes to the bar, it will have a real bar with it attached. It will be a very much in a season 1 Ash vs. Evil Dead paint job. As close as humanly possible as I can get it. You can only do so much. And if you're really nice to me and you buy it and you want a lightweight bar, we can work something out pretty effortlessly there. So there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed. I really like this chainsaw. If I had to keep one, it would definitely be this one, because everything on this one, to me, it's just a culmination of everything I've ever learned doing these chainsaws and doing it to the best of my ability to make it as accurate as possible. So, if you guys are wondering what I'm going to be doing next, I'm going to be doing some Army of Darkness stuff. I'm revisiting the Army of Darkness chainsaws and the Evil Dead 2 dagger. So be ready for that. I'm not done doing the Ash vs. Evil Dead chainsaws. I will make a couple for myself. One similar to this and one similar to the ugly ass one from season 3 that's on the DVD cover, and maybe a season 2, a specific season 2. I don't know. We'll have to see. Till next time, guys, girls, whoever you may be, stay groovy.